Hi, I'm Ernie Medina with TRB, and today I'm joined by Brendan Arbelon, one of our TRB instructors. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about 2-point versus 1-point slings and why. We see a lot of variations with slings out there, with regards to slings, how you use them can make or break your performance. And there's some things you kind of want to know about running 1-point or 2-point or whatever you got. But Brendan's going to talk to you a little bit about 2-point. I'm going to talk a little bit about 1-point slings and the pros and cons of each. So why don't you talk about 2-point?
Yeah, so 2-point sling pretty much, as the name says, it has 2 points of contact with the rifle, right? You got one right here in the back and the other one right here in the front. Now, there's definitely lots of setups when it comes to 2-point slings, to where some people have the point in all the way to the front and all the way to the back. For me, I like them as close to each other as possible, right? Well, before we go into that, the 2-point sling is actually the most stable sling out there, right? Minus a 3-point sling. It's stable in the sense that I could actually cinch this down to my body. Now, this sling is adjusted for a plate carrier, but if I never wear a plate carrier and I would adjust this sling at its most tightest point, this would be snug here really well. So I'm able to transition from my rifle to my pistol and be able to move around and work around with the rifle not flailing around all over the place, right? And then lastly, the one benefit of a 2-point sling is that if you loosen it up and you pretty much necklace it, you swim out, right? Now you have a 1-point sling pretty much, essentially.
A simulated 1-point sling. So a lot of versatility with the 2-point sling. So as Brendan is demonstrating right now, the rifle is snug to his body. Sure. the firearm is snug to his body, and if he needs to go hands-on or do some kind of work, if you will, he can do what he just did, where he flips it and it stays snug to the front, or he can actually throw it over his shoulder and basically work with his hands. So it stays there and it stays in a safe direction and now pointed up. So a lot of versatility, especially there. Now, when transitioning, why don't you talk about transitioning in the 2-point sling?
Yeah, like I said, transitioning in a 2-point sling, you can cinch it down and be able to move around with just your pistol right here, right, and have not flailing all over the place. So that's the beauty of this one.
Yeah, so a lot of versatility. Now, obviously, I'm going to talk about 1-point sling. I'm currently in a 2-point configuration. The sling that I have has the ability to go from 2-point, 1-point, and back and forth very easily. So that way, depending on the type of work that I'm doing, I can choose which type I want. So I'm going to go ahead and shift over to a 1-point sling. So I have basically a female end of the QD here. This is a sling made by Crosstack. I will disconnect the forward point, connect it here to the back, and then now essentially I have a 1-point sling. The benefits of having a 1-point sling is that now the sling itself becomes tighter to me, but it loosens up the rifle. So when you're running in more CQB, close quarters type situations where you have to maneuver the rifle, whether it be strong side, support side, and things like that, the 1-point sling works really well. You don't really get hung up on your sling in transition or being able to maneuver from different ready positions. So really, really versatile. It's just having that 1 point that's centered around my body. Now, what you'll see though, if I'm having to maneuver and say not employ the firearm and say run or whatever, having this 1-point sling is gonna go ahead and knock about and just not stay stable. So having that 1 point when you're not actively employing it can be a little bit cumbersome. So especially when transitioning. So transition now, I have this thing dangling from me. Even if I flip it this way, it's still dangling a lot more than say the 2-point sling. So there's pros and cons. So the pro here would be a lot more maneuverability when I'm having to go here or transition over to my support side. I can easily do that, no problem, without getting really hung up on my sling. If that were a 2-point, might be a little bit more cumbersome. I'd have to swim out like Brendan demonstrated and simulate that 1 point. Okay, so if I'm having to or wanting to, if I'm fixed with just a 1-point sling only option, having to do maybe fling this over my shoulder is not really going to happen. So a couple things to think about there. Now, me, I kind of like the ability to have options. So if I am running something where I need to have the 1 point, great. If I want to flip back over to 2 point, I can easily do that there. and I'm good to go. So those are some pros and cons about the 2-point versus 1-point slings and why you want to use them depending on the type of work that you're doing or if you have a simple preference. Anything else to add?
That's it.
All right.
Today, a home invasion occurs every 18 seconds, even in the daytime when you're home. A typical deadly self-defense encounter happens within 3 yards, takes 3 rounds, and is over in 3 seconds. Most home and business owners have a rifle locked away in their safe, but during a break-in, you won't even have time to retrieve it and arm yourself. Having a firearm is one thing, but knowing how to accurately employ it and manipulate it effectively could mean the difference between life and death. Our program is designed to give you the confidence needed to safely and effectively employ your firearms in case of an emergency. We'll even help you understand the differences in firearm types, as well as their advantages and limitations. You can choose to ignore the responsibilities of your personal safety and those around you, or you can relinquish that fear and become a responsible defender. Sign up now for our rifle workshop.